Hello, good day. So, hope you're still keep safe and be able to have a good day. So, our topic for today is the new government accounting system or NGAS Phase 2. So, let's proceed so that we would be able to identify the different government book used in budgets or registries. So, our learning objective for this topic is number one, to be able to define government books used as registry. Number two, to be able to identify the different registries and to be able to differentiate each use of each registry. So let's proceed. So the basic listing, it's still part of the basic features and policies of the government. So allotment and obligation, we already discussed this in our previous topic. But let's define since it is part of the registry. So allotment, we know that allotment is an authorization issued by the Department of Budget or DBM to an agency through the agency budget matrix or special allotment order, which allow the latter to incur obligation for specific amount contained in a legislative appropriation. So under the allotment, the government, the DBM segregate each fund so that they would be able to give different funds to each of the different government agency. Because take note, there are different kinds of government agency. One is being funded, the other one would be able to earn in their own and be able to use this fund on their day-to-day activities. Next, we also have the obligation. The obligation, when there is already an allotment or the NCA, then the government will now be allowed to make an obligation. Obligation is the liabilities legally incurred and committed to be paid for the government either immediately or in the future. So meaning this could be all the expenses being incurred by the government or committed through contracts and must be paid in the future period. So, so let's proceed with the different government budget registry. So number one is the registry. So let's first define what is registry. So registry, this shall be used to monitor the allotment received, obligation incurred, notice of cash allocation or NCA received and utilized, public infrastructure, dormant account, accounts written off, loan and grants, among other registries shall be maintained by the concerned agency. So this particular registry are normally used to monitor all the allotment and the obligation incurred. Kasi nga, the government is accountability. So since it's accountability, there's a rule that no obligations should be incurred without a proper budget. So meaning, kung maulan ng budget, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-incur ng obligation. So kung magkakaroon ka ng obligation, kailangan i-request mo muna ng budget yon with the DBM so that it could be paid. Kasi if wala siyang budget, hindi na siya mababayaran. Yun yung sa government. So this registry, makita nyo yung mga nakasulat dyan, meron siyang each one has a different registry or a different book that would list all the particular information necessary for the government to identify. So we have the RAFAL or the Registry of Appropriation and Allotment. This is used by the DBM for each department of the national government to control, approve appropriation and allotment. So since hindi naman agad-agad binibigay lahat ng allotment or ng budget for the different, usually quarterly, before it's monthly. But now it's quarterly and sometimes it's semestral. So kaya si DBM nagme-maintain siya doon para malaman niya magkano na ba yung na-release na pera with the particular government agency. So, at saka kung magkano pa yung natitira. Kasi sometimes, the government would not be able to budget it properly. They need to request for some special saro. Like, for example, may mga event kasi tsaka circumstances na hindi hawak ng government. Like, for example, COVID. These are quite different with the normal activities of the government. So, they need to request for additional fund. Next, we also have the registry allotment and the NCA issue. Ito naman is used to control the funding of allotment. The registry shall be kept by the department or the agency. So, each government agency funded by the government, kahit na hindi funded, would usually have the registry of allotment and NCA issued so that they would be able to identify what among the funds are already used by the government. Kasi at the end of the year, kung may natira pang funds si national government na binigay ni DBM, they need to give it back to the Bureau of Treasury. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, at the end of the year, the president would normally announce, kung may savings pa yung agency na to, they would be allowed to give an additional incentive for the employee kasi nakatipid sila. So, yun yung mga, kaya monitor. Next, we also have, so, usually, ito ganito yung itsura nung Registry of Appropriation. So we have the dates, the reference wherein so that they would be able to identify kung ano yung number ng appropriations na nabigay na sa kanila, approved appropriations, allotment, tsaka kung magkano pa yung appropriation balance dun sa particular agency na yon. In some books, for the agency of the NCA, so ito naman yung magiging itsura niya. Still have the date, the reference, that so that they would be able to cross-refer it with the DBM, the allotment received, magkano na ba yung na-receive nila para makikita yon as cross-reference with the agency books of registry as against with the Department of Budget. And then the NCA receive and then the balance or the unfunded allotment kung magkano pa yung marireceive nila in the future. Okay, in some cases, ganito yung itsura niya. Why ganito yung itsura niya? Kasi nakaseparate na kung ano yung sa mga funds na kailangan nilang gamitin or activities. Kasi di ba mayroon tayong mga build projects. So, one for that. One for the appropriation dun sa usual activities ng government, which is the personal services. As we have discussed, these are salaries of the people, the maintenance and operating activities, the day-to-day activities, the finance expenses. These are the bank charges or anything related to the additional fund needed by the government or sourcing of fund. And then the capital outlay. These are the activities of the government that are needed to be funded for a long-term activities like building. So, the total appropriation would also include. And then, the adjustment or appropriation, kung may nagkulang. Kunyari, kulang yung nabigay nila, magdadagdag sila. So, yun yung total. And then, the adjusted fund would now have to be included so that malalaman din nila kung magkano pa yung dapat i-request nila for the DBM. Kasi the DBM would issue an additional, but this time, it would now be known as the special allotment release order. I-discuss pa natin yan as we go on. In some cases, ganito yung itsura niya. Para makita kung ano yung mga activities. These are naman for the agency. So, they have the general, the support services, and yung mga programs na activity nila. Tsaka kung magkano yung allotted for that. For the PS, for the MOOE, and then the capital outlay, and then the total. Okay? Okay, next. We also have the registry of NCA and the replenishment. So, nakita nyo yung kanina, mayroong mga adjustments. So, if they need to replenish, kung naubos na nila, they need to request additional NCA for that. Ito naman, ginagawa to or ni-use to ni Bureau of Treasury to record the notice of cash allocation, release, and the bank replenishment covered by the MDS. Ito yung MDS, these are the GAA also, or yung ginagawang batas, the General Appropriation, or the Modified Disbursement System of the Government, check issued by the agency. So, makita kasi doon lahat ng check na na-issues as under their NCA. So, para matatakan ng bank. So that they would be able to add additional fund with the government. Next, we also have the Registry of Allotment and Obligation. This one naman is used to show all the allotment received and the obligation incurred. Charges against the corresponding allotment. The balance is extracted every time an entry is made to prevent incurrence of obligation in excess of the allotment. So, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, na kasi sa government nga, since it's accountability, therefore, dapat yung allotment mag-equal dun sa obligation. Kapag kalalagpas, yung obligation ay mag-excess sa allotment, pwede silang maggalaw, pero hindi kailangan may approval pa rin yun. So, they need to request for additional fund with the DBM, with all the justification bakit hindi siya nakasama. Okay? Next, we also have the different registries for each of the different expenses of the government. So, we have the Registry of Allotment Obligation for the capital outlay, yung mga infra. The Registry of Obligation for the MOOE or yung mga day-to-day activities. PS para sa mga personal services like salaries. And then the financial charge or yung mga debt instruments na kailangan ng government. Nakita nyo kanina yung column, di ba? Meron siyang for each of the different expenses. So, dun siya napupunta sa registry na yon. Next, we also have the Registry of Allotment or NCA or the RANCA. Ito naman, ginagamit is used to monitor the allotment received, NCA, utilized, and unfunded balance at the given date. So, dito naman sa RANCA, makikita mo dyan yung NCA tsaka yung mga hindi pa nagagamit. Or hindi pa yung na-utilize na at saka yung mga hindi pa nagagamit na NCA, as well as the unfunded balance, yung mga balance na obligations na wala pa or hindi pa na-release ni DBM. Next, we also have the Registry of Public Infrastructure. So, dito, papasok lahat ng mga record ng mga properties or the sa general public. Like, for example, the monuments, the roads, the bridges, yung mga projects ni DPWH. Kaya normally, si Registry of Public Infra, si DPWH yung may hawak na. Or sometimes, meron din yung mga local, yung mga projects nila. Next, we also have the Registry of Public Infrastructure Summary. So, dito naman, sinasummarize yung lahat ng public infrastructures ng agency. For example, siguro, ang marami kasi dito si DBM eh. Pero sometimes kasi, meron din yung mga iba, like, for example, the hospitals na under doon, or the DepEd. So, the total agency registry shall be posted in summary, and the total public infra shall be disclosed in the notes to financial statement. So, dapat sa notes ng FS niya, nakalagay din doon kung ano yung mga public infra. Like, for example, public infra din kasi ng government and NLEX. Kaya lang kasi sa NLEX, ang ginangyari kasi doon, hindi nag-shed ng pera si government. Instead, ang mag-shed yung public. Sila lahat yung magpe-finance doon. Tapos, whatever yung mga binabayad natin na toll fee, yun yung kukunin nila as pangbayad. Parang as pangbayad dun sa ginawa nilang mga ayos or sa mga expenditures nila with that particular project. Tapos, in the future, in a certain period, babalik na yun kay government. Well, hopefully, ma-maintain nga lang ni government. Next, we also have the registry of the dormant account. This one naman is used to transfer the dormant account from the RA or the general books pursuant to the existing COA rules and regulation. So, ito kasi mga registry of dormant account. Ito yung mga receivable ng government na hindi na nasisingil. Kumbaga, sobrang tagal na, nandun na, kumbaga, fully impaired na if you would check with the IFRS, pero nandun pa rin kasi may mga rules kasi si government na hindi siya dapat basta ma-write off. Unless otherwise, merong mga reason or i-request pa siya ng exemptions with the Commission on Audit para matanggal yung mga dormant account. Okay? Next, we also have the registry of the accounts written off, yung mga tinatanggal na. Or for example, na-write off na yung mga accounts receivable na dapat nang ma-written off sa books ng government, or that's what we call the General Book of Accounts. Next, we also have the registry of loan availment and repayment to foreign individual. So, syempre, from the word itself, ito yung mga record ng amount ng availment and repayment of individual loans of the government of the Philippines to foreign lending institutions and shall be maintained by the BTR or the DOF. So, ito yung mga inuutang natin sa ibang bansa. So, meron din siyang syempreng list. Or in short, sa private, ito yung subsidiary ledger natin for our accounts payable. So, syempre, kung meron sa foreign, meron din syempre summary doon para makita natin kung ano, kasi ito na yung ledger. So, si Registry of Loan Availment and Repayment to Foreign, may summary din siya para makita natin kung magkano ba yung utang natin sa bawat isang foreign country or foreign banks. So, yun siya. It's a summary of amount, loan availment, and repayment of the government of the Philippines with the foreign lending institution on a regular basis sa taas, and it shall be maintained still by the BTR and the DOF. Next, we also have the loan availment for the domestic. So, actually, si foreign or si RLAR fee at saka si RLARD is the same, except lang na si D, these are for our domestic loan or yung mga inutang natin within the Philippines lang. Yung isa, since IF, ito yung sa mga foreign investors. Okay? Okay, guys. So, thank you for listening. We will still continue this registry on our next video. If you like this video, please let me reach out or help more people by hitting the subscribe and the like button below. God bless you, and if you have questions, just comment below. And since there are not so much with the government accounting in this particular website, so hopefully this would be able to help those accounting students in the government accounting. Bye, and have a good day. God bless you all.